Yes, it did come in. So, yes, I have some 10-4 wire and plug. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clean up that mess over there and start doing this a little bit cleaner. Yeah, in this next part of the video, you're talking about the neutral ground bond on this Growatt, and I misspoke. I was saying floating ground. I meant to be saying floating neutral, not to confuse people, because even though on this Growatt, unless you physically ground it to something, it actually has a floating ground too. So yeah, I really meant to be talking about the floating neutral on the Growatt. There's been a lot of talk. I've been videos and everything on these Growatts as far as if they have a neutral ground bond. So yes, that is something you have to check if you're gonna hook these up and tie them into your panel, as a backup unit like I plan on doing. If the grid goes down, I want to be able to use this Growatt as a backup. So it is going to be wired into my panel via power cords. So you do not want the neutral ground bond in here. This one was shipped without it, and I can show you that right here. I have this, and we can tone this out. I did not pull out any screws, and if we go in here and show you, I'm not good at one-handed, but I'm across the neutral and the ground, and there is no connection over there. Now it is powered up, and that just like it would be if I was trying to backfeed my house. So you can see that is opened. Once again, here I can, if I touch these leads together. And the other way you can kind of see if this is ground bonded or not is check your voltage to AC. Set your meter on AC and run across your ground and your neutral. If you see voltage there, that's a floating ground. This is set up just like the generator down there. It's a floating ground. You will have voltage across a floating ground. When you go ground to neutral, you'll have about half of your voltage. It's the way it works. But this one here was shipped to me. I didn't buy it from anybody special. I bought it off of eBay. So I just found the best price and got it. So it did come shipped to me, and it came shipped to me set up for US. That doesn't guarantee that the next one I receive it, should I decide to order another one, that one will be. So I thought I'd just mention that yes, I did check that. So this one is not neutral ground bonded because I have my neutral ground bond back at the main panel in my house. Okay, so I got this cleaned up a little bit. Yes, I still got to move that box, but I need to get different cable for over here first. So right now I have this is off. The shop is on the grid right now. So that's just charging the battery is all that's doing. So what I have here, this breaker's off. This one breaker is on. See, this breaker just actually goes over to here, and it is just powering my battery chargers. My clock is flashing. You can see because I had it off. That's just there because I do have to turn this off until I get 240 volts set up in here. I have a well pump that I use just for irrigation stuff that I use maybe every other day to fill up a trough. And so I have to put this back on the grid, and to do that, so I have because it's a 240 volt pump. So until I get it set up in here, do 240 volt, I have to have something where I don't got to keep resetting my clock all the time. So I just ran a simple 15 amp 110 outlet over there. So this is off. I have that tagged out because this the lock, circuit breaker lock, doesn't fit in this box. So I'll have to find something a little bit better than that to put over here. So you can see I have the 10 gauge 4-wire going across here. And this isn't permanent either. And I brought it over here. This one is my original generator cable, and that there's another 10 gauge 4-wire cable, and that comes down here. Now this outlet I put in here specifically for backup power for my generator. I put it in here, and yes, I know I should have the other one if that's what I was specifically going to use it for, but I also may specifically want to use it for 220 welder one day, so that's why this is here. So I have the suicide cord on here. Now this breaker's off and that breaker's off, so we can plug this in. Now I want to show you something. Once you plug this in, if you remember, we were talking about the neutral ground bond on here. Now I have my meter set up again to tone out. Now if we go across ground and neutral, you can see it tones out. That is because we are now ground bounded back at the main panel. So you do want to check that, because you do want to ground bond your neutral somewhere in your system, and it most always should be done at the main panel. I know there's an argument that it should be done closest to the power source. Well, 98% of the time that's at my main panel. So I'm thinking we're safe to do it this way for now, unless somebody can tell me otherwise. So, all right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you. I'm going to take us off the grid. So main breaker, it's going to get dark, sorry about that, is off. That one is on. Come back over here. Yeah, see, that's that outlet I have just hooked up on the little 15 amp breaker over here. I can take this off. Open this back up. Power is back on. And there you are. So now, I don't know if I can do this one-handed, but this goes on here. Yeah, I'm gonna have to sit you down for a second. Okay, I was holding it backwards. That might have something to do with it. So now I just put that over there just as a reminder for me that if I come in here and I'm in a rush, that do not put that on, because I will trash this Growatt if I did that. It will just trash this. So, okay. Okay, so now here's the test with this Growatt. I've been hearing pros and cons with them as far as they can't run motors. They can't drive motors. So it won't be of much use for me to go with the 220 setup in here with the Growatts if it can't run my shop. So I'm going to try, and this is literally, I have not tried this. I've just got it set up here with the plug plugged in. So what I'm going to try is I'm going to try powering up my dust collector, and then coming over here, taking a cut on the table saw, turning off the table saw, leaving the dust collector on, and then cut something on the chop saw over here. Let me get this 2x4 set up over here. So it's going to get noisy, and I'll have to set you down for the table saw. So, all right, let's give it a shot. And if it fails, I want you guys to know it's going to fail too, just so we all know. I heard something beeping in here. Oh, I gotta turn those beeps off. So I'm at a 30% low. Let's see if it'll start up my table saw. Nope, won't do that. So let's see what popped. Oh. So it reset itself. So will it start the table saw? Nope. No, I tried a couple different things. It will not power up the table saw as far as I tried shutting off all the lights. And yeah, it will not power it up. It will do my chop saw, my sander, drill press. That that's all pretty light duty. I believe this is like a 1.5 horse. The 1.5 horse on here. I just had to replace the original motor on it, and with a nice Dayton motor. So I believe it is a 1.5 horse. But no, it will not power up the table saw, and for me that's a problem. So I'm gonna have to do some research for that, especially if I want my shop keep my shop off grid. Now I don't want to go and spend thousands and thousands of dollars on this stuff that I'm never ever going to recoup on. So I'm going to have to investigate that one a little bit there. But yeah, it does everything else in here. As far as if you're wondering, I have this is a 12-inch Delta, and no problem. The light just flickered a little bit, and yeah, it does. That small stuff. So any of the power tools and stuff, it will do. So to me, I'm a little disappointed in that. And you can see even in the shop, I had these lights off. So I'll turn those back on. And yeah, you can hear the Growatt is ramped up as far as the fans going and everything because of the draw I just put on it. Yeah, you can see right now with just the shop lights and everything going, it's at 30% load. Shop lights, garage lights, and the ceiling fan. So yeah, we're drawing 900 watt load on here. And yeah, I did turn off the annoying beeps on here. For those of you, in case you don't already know, you just press the down and the enter at the same time, and it shuts those beeps right off. Because yeah, they are annoying. And so yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed that didn't turn on the table saw. Yeah, I'm not really sure if what's tripping out, if the battery voltage is just dropping below, and that's what it's kicking out on low voltage, low battery voltage, because I don't get a fault or anything. But by the time I get over here, I don't see a fault on anything. And I checked the battery voltage, and it was pretty close to what it was, but once I get over here. So I have to try and figure it out. I think it may be just the battery voltage dropping down low, and then it's not able to come back up in time. So it may kick it out on low battery voltage. I was hoping it would show a fault that if it did that, but I'm not seeing anything. So I'll see if I can figure that one out too. So I've been kind of tinkering around with this Growatt shutting down with the inrush of turning on a table saw or something like that. And so I've been just checking some peaks on it. I set this on a DC. I can see before it shuts off, I get a peak. It went up to about 230 amps on the DC side of it before it shut down. So it could possibly still go higher on there. I got to do the math on that. I just came up with some rough numbers right here. This should not shut down. It can do 280 amps for like 55 seconds, the battery. So yeah, I think it was quoted at 280 amps for almost a minute. So what I've been doing, and I'll show you how I've been doing this with the fluke meter. I won't do it on the DC side because it's the same. You know, it's just a matter of setting this on here, set it on DC, setting your min-max amps. I'll show you on the table saw how I will do this. And we will put the clamp on over here. I pull this wire out, set it for min-max. You can see right now there's nothing running on that breaker, so let's go and turn the table saw on. That fan is on the inverter up there. Yeah, you can see the peak current draw is 58.8, and that's pretty close. I've been getting right around the 60 amp peak on there, which is pretty much the peak for this Growatt. Now, I don't know if it's shutting down because the Growatt shutting down saying overcurrent, or if it's saying under voltage. So that I don't know yet. So I'm just wanted to show you what I was kind of doing on that. So yeah, there's 58, and that's just on startup. And when it's running, we can see, you know, we're at 0. It don't draw nowhere near that. You can turn it on. So you can see when it's running, it's only drawing 11.5 amps. So that's not bad at all. So I'm going to continue going on through some of the other things in my shop just to kind of get an idea of what I can and can't run and kind of what this Growatt max is. Now, if it's the Growatt, or like I say, if it's overcurrent on the Growatt, or is it an under voltage on the battery, I got to see if there's a way I can somehow find that out. As of right now, I don't know if it'll update that quickly on the Growatt, because it's not showing a fault anywhere. Right, so here goes the air compressor then. Let's see what that is on here. And it's going to get noisy. Oh. And I thought as long as I had this main panel off, I've been, you know, testing the table saws and everything. I'm sure there's a few of you paying close enough attention there going, well, how can I take my shop off the grid and still backfeed using these grid tie inverters? Well, as you can see, what I did is I have two fuses coming off of the main lugs in there. Now there's another breaker back in the main box too for 100 amp. So yeah, there's fuses on here that then go up to these two outlets up here. So they're separate from all of this. So I backfeed through this breaker into this part because it won't go any further than that. So I'm still able to use these here. And this one here, this outlet is I broke the contact between the two outlets. So this one, the bottom outlet is relayed and the top outlet is always on, because that's this top one that just runs idle all the time. For anybody who is paying that much attention. So that's kind of how I did that. So here's an example of how the fan just stays running here, because it's been running for a while. You can see we're down to 100 degrees, you know, on that side. You know, 100 on that side. But I mean, that one's warmer and the fan's not running on it. You know, the thing is the fans must be powered by the DC, because the AC is off up there. Nothing's running right now. So I'm going to see something because, yeah, those are definitely off. I'm going to shut off the solar panels to this unit here. Yeah, so that's what's powering the fan is the solar. So I guess if it did get stuck on, it's not the worst thing. If I wasn't home, it's just, getting powered by the solar. And as soon as nighttime rolled around and, in the evening when there's no power at the panels, I guess it would just shut right off. But just something I thought I'd let you guys know and see if anybody else has come across that with these cheapy inverters. The original one, that one's like a month or two older. It runs a lot more than these other two. That one I've never had the problem with. Just this one here. See if the problem starts on its sister over here. Yeah, after going through a lot of the stuff and most of the stuff in the shop and just doing some comparison. I mean, you've seen what the table saw, that kind of repeats itself. The air compressor, it repeats itself. The air compressor, I knew this air compressor was going to be a no-go with these Growatts right off the bat. I mean, I just knew that wasn't going to happen. But the only time I use the air compressor, it'd be really easy to switch back and forth between the grid, once I was set up for, 240 volt in here. Because once it's charged up, unless I'm running, my air grinders or something like that, it really don't use that much. If I'm just using some air nailers, it's charged up, it could last me hours. But so I knew that wasn't going to be an issue. I was really hoping that with 2 Growatts, I'd be able to run my shop lights, my dust collector, and the table saw. The lights and the dust collector being on one leg of the Growatt, and the table saw is on the different one. But it won't do that. So I'm thinking I'm going to have to start looking at some different options if I want to really am dead set on keeping the garage off of the grid. And I think I really want to I want that challenge. So I'm going to have to look at some of these low frequency inverters. I have a couple in mind, and rather than invest in another $700-800 on another Growatt over here, invest $1,500 and just get one inverter that will do both. So I want to do a little bit more research on that. And I think, but before that, I think what I'm going to do is I want to get another battery. And because I'm just curious if another battery, if I add that on here, is that going to, if it is going under, if it's shutting down on low voltage on the battery side of it, will adding another battery help that, or will it just blow the Growatt up? I don't know. But it seems to power because, I mean, it starts up my chop saw, miter saw, no problem. And I went through some of the other stuff, even the it is a 1-horse motor on the table saw. So I also have a 1-horse motor on the bandsaw, so it will not start either one of those up. And both the table saw and the bandsaw both start an inrush current about 60 amps. So it will not do either one of those, but it will do the sanders and everything. And the miter saw startup was about 44 amps on startup on the 12-inch miter saw. My air conditioner unit, I measured that. Now it's a 240 volt. So on let's see, on startup, it drew 17 amps on one of the legs. So the Growatt would handle that. If I had it set up for 240 volt, the Growatt would definitely do the air conditioner. So right now it looks like it would handle everything except the table saw, bandsaw, and of course this guy over here. So I'm gonna do a little bit of research of what way I want to go. So I will keep you posted on what I decide to do.